What's up YouTube, this is Bobo Breez here. Today I'm going to show you guys something really cool. It's my Turbografx 16. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a little bit of my collection. I'm going to show you guys 10 games that I believe that are good games to start with if you want to start your own Turbografx 16 collection. So right here I'll show you guys first. So here's the system. So here's the console. It's as you can see, it's only got one controller port, but the cool thing is that there's this little deal right here you can get. It's a turbo tap. You can plug up to 5 players into this. So you plug this right here into the system, and then you can play up to 5 players some games. Pretty cool. So this is the box. This is I actually got this system in person. So usually when I buy systems, I like to buy them in person. I don't usually buy systems online. So I found this one on OfferUp actually, and I'll show you guys the box a little more. Okay, so you can see here, shows you some of the peripherals. You got the turbo booster. This thing would basically give you AV capability. You'd have a little better video quality. And then you have the CD-ROM attachment. This is something I really want to get. I don't have it yet, but it'd be really cool to have. And there's only like 44 games, I think. There's like 44 games total that you can buy for the CD, but it's also region free, so you can actually buy Japanese PC Engine CD-ROM games and play on it. So it's actually pretty cool. Alright, I'll show you guys on the back here. So the console actually came with this game, Keith Courage and Alpha Zones. It was the game that came with this particular Turbografx 16 system. So I'll show you guys that. Let me just put this back over here. So this is a game that I got with it. So it comes with this little comic book in here. As you can see, it kind of gives you a little bit of the story about the game. Alright, so when I got the system, all I had was just the chip. I didn't even have this sleeve, I just had the turbo chip. So this was my first game, and this is what I played when I first got it. I started collecting some other games. I bought them on eBay. It's pretty much next to impossible to find anything in even in retro game stores. It's really hard to even find these games for this system. So alright, so I'm going to show you guys what I believe are the top 10 games that you're going to want to start with. Now the cool thing is that most of these games are relatively inexpensive. And when I say that, I mean they're all below $100 each. So now here's the thing too. You don't have to collect the games with the cases for every game. You can just go online and just buy the chips. And in fact, sometimes you can find lots of these with like 4 or 5 games and get a pretty decent deal on these things. If you're patient and you look on eBay and you find a good group of games that you're interested in. It's a good thing to do. You'll find I mean, you might find a couple crappy games you don't want, but you can find some good games that way. And I did, so. Alright, so I'm going to talk about each one of these games. So the first game I bought, I'll show you guys, was Bonks Adventure. So Bonks Adventure, this is basically he was the mascot of the system. So he's this like baby, I guess, and he bonks his head on things, and basically it's really fun. It's a fun platforming game. So as you can see there's a screenshot. So basically the staple platform game of the system that you gotta have if you're gonna play if you're gonna get a Turbografx 16. So that's a really cool game. So alright, let's go over here. Okay, Alien Crush. So this is actually I don't know if you can kind of tell by looking at this, but it's an actual pinball game. So it's a very, very cool one. This is probably one of the best pinball games you'll see on a American console. Just very well done. There's multiple screens. There's, you know, it's like a real pinball game. It's just the cool thing is that you get into these bonus sequences and you'll actually fight bosses, which is kind of cool. It's something that you really can't do with a real pinball machine. You can't fight an actual boss, you know, with a pinball game. So that is very, very cool. And it's like an alien theme. There's a couple different soundtracks you can choose between. You can choose fast or slow. So if you're not super good at pinball, you can just start slow. So it's super cool. Definitely check this one out. Blazing Lasers. This is a shoot 'em up type game. It is a vertically scrolling one. This is a good one to start with because these shoot 'em up games can be very very difficult to play. And this one is actually one of the early shoot 'em up games on the Turbografx. I highly recommend it though. It's super duper awesome game. It's beatable. I mean, I actually beat it. I'm not super good at shooters or anything, and I was able to beat it. So definitely check this one out. Especially if you like shooting games. Even if you don't like shooting games, it's just a super cool game. Military Madness. So this is, if you've played more recently Advanced Wars, this is a game for you. This is like a turn-based strategy game, but it's cool. It has the little cutscenes and stuff, you know, with your characters, your pieces fighting and stuff. Super cool strategy game. So pick that one up. Legendary Axe. This is a cool platformer that is exclusive to the system. As far as I know, you can't get this anywhere else. This is on the Turbografx 16 only. You're this caveman kind of guy, but he's kind of he's a little smarter than a caveman, I guess you could say, because he's got weapons and stuff. But you're trying to save the girl there, of course. You know, most games were like that back then. But super cool game. It's a super fun platformer. Highly recommended. You swing your axe, and then you have this meter. Basically, you can let it go up, your meter go all the way up to full power and hit a harder swing with your axe. And then, you know, later on in the game, you upgrade it, and it's pretty cool. This is a cool platforming game. It's not too hard. I beat it after a little bit of effort. Wasn't too hard. I actually, when I beat it, I I beat it without continuing. It was pretty cool. I was actually kind of proud of myself. Alright, so Ninja Spirit. This is a really cool game. Another platformer. You're a ninja, obviously, and you have these like after images of yourself. You get a couple little upgrades and stuff, and you have a couple of other after images of yourself kind of following you around, and it kind of makes it fun. It's something quite different from a lot of games you would think of. But super cool, a really good platformer, and I really like platformers, so most people do. I mean, you grew up with playing Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that, so this is a really good one. Splatterhouse. Now, this is a super cool game. It's not the best game in the world, I have to say, but the thing about it is that it's just super cool, the theme of it and stuff. You know, you're this guy, he's lost his girlfriend, and you go into this house, and it's all creepy. There's, like, slimy monsters everywhere, and all kinds of gross stuff, you know, and it's super cool, and horror-themed game that was kind of something that you wouldn't see very often back then, because, you know, most games were marketed towards kids, so, but it's super cool game. Bomberman. So Bomberman, you've probably played Bomberman if you've played Nintendo or Super Nintendo, and maybe even Sega. There's Bomberman games, but this version of Bomberman is actually a lot better than the original, because this is actually the Turbografx is actually made by it's Hudson Soft's console, pretty much. So this is where their games really shined, on this system. So in this version of Bomberman, it's a little more the presentation is a lot better. So you have cutscenes and stuff. You have actually bosses. And it's not just mazes and, you know, maze after maze after maze, and then the game ends. There's actually bosses. It feels more like a game, because Bomberman, the one on the NES, just kind of felt like level after level after level. It wasn't really as fun. This one has more personality, so highly recommended. Bloody Wolf. So this is the only game, as far as I know, like this on the Turbografx. It's an overhead shooter. You go around, you're this guy, and you're trying to save the president. It's not a super, you know, thick plot, you know, or anything. But it's just an overhead shoot 'em up where you can kind of freely go around and shoot enemies and stuff like that. It's a really good one. It's the only game really like this on the Turbografx, at least as far as the chip games go. So definitely check out this one, especially if you like, you know, more like the military war-themed games. Super cool. Okay? Alright, so let's see. Pretty much talked about all these games. Galaga 90. So this is a kind of an updated version of Galaga, the classic arcade game. So it plays almost exactly like Galaga, like the original, but I mean, the graphics are updated. Everything's, you know, there's backgrounds that you can kind of see there. There's like there's like space in the background and stuff, because this is actually a screenshot from the actual game here on the cover. And yeah, so it's a super cool updated version of the game. The cool thing is it's actually it's non-linear. You can kind of choose your path in between levels and stuff, and I believe there are bosses. I don't think the original Galaga had bosses, so I don't know. I never was super good at it, so honestly I don't even know. But this is a super cool game to have, and relatively inexpensive. A lot of these games aren't that expensive, especially if you're not necessarily trying to collect every game with the case. If you want to just, maybe you just want to get the games you really like in the case with the manual, and then just buy all the chip games. It's not super expensive if you do it that way. Alright, so there you have it. There's the Turbografx 16. I really love the system. It's super cool and super awesome. And yeah, check it out. Maybe start collecting your own Turbografx 16 collection.